The invasion was first postponed a day due to poor weather. But eventually, after midnight, beginning on June 6 of 1944, some 24,000 paratroopers would be dropped behind enemy lines, with the instruction to capture as many bridges, as many pillboxes as possible. Of course, what the paratroopers risked was everything. In fact, many of them managed to not actually land in the places they were supposed to land in. Many of them actually had to join up with other paratroopers who came from different regiments or different battalions and had to somehow figure out where they were, which was often a confusing thing on this dark night. And they also had to go ahead and try to take whatever objectives they could. This, of course, was complicated by the fact that the Germans did see some of the paratroopers coming down and often shot many of them before they actually landed, which was at the time actually against the laws of warfare set by the Geneva Convention many years before. It was also many of the paratroopers who found that their cartridges they carried on them often exploded when they were being fired upon by the Germans from below. Some of them never had a chance to properly deploy their chute because they were dropped too low. But of course, not all of them ended in tragedy. Many of them performed heroic feats. Many of them caused the confusion the Allies wanted amongst the Germans. And some of them caused more confusion than others. In fact, some of the paratroopers weren't real paratroopers at all. In fact, one of the things the Allies did, and this is actually probably a British invention, was they came up with roughly half-size paratroopers. They were dolls, essentially. And they were armed with what were essentially firecrackers that were designed to explode as they fell, meaning the Germans thought they were under attack and machine gun fire, which caused further confusion, when in fact these were simply dummy paratroopers. It went a long way to creating the confusion that was actually needed. While the paratroopers landed, there were also other soldiers as well as vehicles that were brought in by gliders, pulled over by larger aircraft. These gliders were designed to silently glide behind enemy lines and, like the paratroopers, help secure various bridges and points of strategic interest that were also behind enemy lines. However, like the paratroopers, many of them missed their landing zones. Many of them were difficult to control. Several of them were unfortunately impaled upon the spiked fields the Germans had set up to stop things like gliders. Some of them had the misfortune to land directly in front of German anti-tank guns and were quickly dispatched. But all the same, these paratroopers and these gliders, as well as the bombing raid that had come along with it, they helped prepare the way for the invasion of the following morning. And it came swiftly.